Hello and welcome to another video here on the Grapple YouTube with my initial first take reaction to AEW All Out. It's going to be a video like this dropping on the feed as well from Matty looking at WWE Wrestlelicious Palooza or whatever it's called. So check that out as well. Give that your support too and give it a watch. But yeah, head of Spotlight tomorrow with me and Gareth doing the match by match. I thought I'd give you some of my key takeaways from a show that I did overall enjoy. It was long. We're going to get into that. And there were things on the show that maybe didn't need to be, and there were things on the show that maybe underachieved. We're going to talk about the crowd as well. But overwhelmingly, I did enjoy it. And I think the biggest takeaway you've got to have coming out of it is one Carl Fletcher, who had an absolutely killer showing in the main event, as most of us expected him to. I don't think anybody actually thought that he was going to be winning out there, which is a problem. Might have played into some of the crowd reaction there. But I think what mattered for Carl Fletcher on this night was for him to have a big time main event performance, and from the start of the match, I'm getting a lot of offense, and the commentary putting that over, and his work over Hangman Page, and right down to his own selling, and he's taking some horrendous looking dead eyes from Hangman through the match as the match seesawed towards the end, and was very much elevated by the fantastic commentary of Bryan Danielson. Like, this is a match we're all going to look back on. We're going to be looking back on it in 6 months, a year, whenever it is that Carl Fletcher has his real main event run, probably as a babyface, I would expect. And we're going to go, yeah, we all saw it here, and mission accomplished. This was a show missing a big time main events, with Hangman Page versus maybe a more credible challenger. But if this is the situation you're in, with Ospreay out, with Omega out, with Swerve out, you've got to make lemons, and they absolutely did with Carl Fletcher here. So he's got to be a gigantic positive, and what's coming for him is going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. A negative for me, another key takeaway though, Eddie Kingston. And it pains me to say that. I've loved Eddie Kingston since the first time set eyes on him. Love at first sight in the mid-2000s indies when he was in Chikara or CZW or IWA Mid-South or whatever it was he was working. Loved him right through his TNA run. Obviously, I've loved him in AEW as well. I'm made up to have him back. That's the main thing, really, isn't it? He's back, and let's see where we go. But he didn't look at the races in this match. Physically, maybe even mentally. Obviously, there's the botch finish, which is going to stay in everybody's mind's eye with that one, but it felt like Big Bill was holding the match together. Like, literally had two of his gigantic arms, like, just keeping things going right through it. And great performance from him, but yeah, Eddie didn't look at it, and maybe that's part of the reason why this is how Eddie Kingston came back to AEW, and it wasn't something bigger like a lot of us were kind of clamoring for. So yeah, it's the only way is up from here. I hope we get better Eddie Kingston performances going forward, but it was a letdown, and I think bigger for me as well. I think the post match with Hook coming out. I mean, can anybody picture Hook and Eddie Kingston in a bar together or in any social setting together? Like, it's one of those pairings in AEW. Like, we'll see where it goes. We'll see who else they put with them, but feels a bit random for me. Feels a bit less than what a fully functioning, hitting on all cylinders Eddie Kingston should be doing in AEW. And yeah, it kind of slots him somewhere in the card that's, I think, a bit lower than him. And Hook coming out to that music that just kills, whatever lacking crowd heat we had. Even the little amount of crowd he got killed by that music just wasn't a good sign for me. And yeah, a bit of a negative. A positive takeaway for me, MJF. What a weekend. If you haven't seen the CMLL match with Mystico, absolutely check that out. Just prime lucha babyface versus heel stuff that, like, MJF was just lapping it up with all of his crowd work and everything else in that match. And I think he carried that over to this Mark Briscoe match. Incredible weekend. Put Mark Briscoe over as well, which I wasn't expecting in the predictions. I just assumed Mark Briscoe usually loses. He's going to lose here, but clean as a whistle. MJF puts him over. I would like to see Mark Briscoe push on from here. Maybe he does something with Hangman Page. Maybe he does something a bit further up the card. Again, his promo later in the show and still knocking around with that gang of conglomeration geeks and Kyle O'Reilly and the lads probably wasn't a positive, but we'll see what happens on Dynamite, obviously with Orange Cassidy being the third man on that team, and maybe Mark Briscoe gets a bit of juice coming out of this big win and we get going with him higher up the card as a singles guy. But the match was brilliant, just the violence, everything you could expect between the two of them, and again, a great result too, and I expect we'll see MJF taking some time off now, but it probably won't be long knowing MJF. A negative takeaway, the shows are too long. Like, I can't think of another way to word it. I think this is a combination one. I think it's both. Yes, the show was too long, but two, I think the crowd didn't help. I don't know what was going on. Canadians, get in the comments, tell me. Like, I've been there, I've been in the Scotiabank. I've been there for NXT, and it was half as busy as this, and the crowd were louder. it felt like there was something up, but they sucked the life out of a lot of the lesser stuff on this show and made it feel even lesser. Like, there probably were too many matches on this show, and I understand. I talked about it on the preview, like the fighting instinct of a Tony Khan wanting to go up against AEW, wanting to probably bleed into the start of their show, which they did in the end, which is, I could understand that, and I'll probably do that myself. But there was a lot of stuff on this card that I was low stakes, and it felt low stakes when it came to it. And I think maybe part of that's the spreadsheet booking of Tony Khan of putting 13 things on a card. And a lot of the times, all 13 of those things feel equal because they're all pushed the time and they're all, jammed into these big mega cards. And then you get stuff which was like, a great match, like the Hair Syndicate match, like the Gates of Agony were fantastic. Hate Syndicate outside of MVP were fantastic. He was showing his age in that one. Ricochet was fantastic. Just really good work in that match, but it wasn't helped by the crowd. And maybe that's chicken and the egg. Maybe that's the booking. Heel versus heel faction stuff. I thought the Hate Syndicate, they get cheered most of the time. Thought they would be able to get through this and get the crowd behind them, but they just didn't seem invested. And there were matches like that. Rio suffered from it as well. Again, they'd done really bare, thin job of, getting Rio ready for this match and ready for Mercedes. And again, maybe they were relying on the fact that she's got this inherent overness and people know her from the early days of AEW. I think they were just expecting her to, on the back of that, to be more over than she was, and she wasn't, and the crowd weren't invested in her, and I think that match suffered too, and that was kind of the story up and down the card, really. So, yeah, you can't say the length and the crowd, I think they kind of go hand in hand, didn't hurt this show, and it absolutely did. One other negative, and I'm going to get into some of my recommended matches in a second because I've got some big recommends as far as matches go on this show. People who know me know I'm going to mention it, but Cope. It's Cope. Like, he's got to be a negative here. I tried to go in with an open mind to this opener match, and there was good work there when it was the other three. But, like, whether it was the Cena tributes or it was his fucking wife turning up. He was not a character in AEW, but apparently is, and we're supposed to be invested in enough that we're supposed to care when she gets pile drivers at the end of it. Like, all of it, it feels like stuff that would be bad ideas in 2010's WWE, and here is Cope doing it in AEW now in 2025. And, like, it is just... It's not the company for him, and I've felt like that for a while with him. And yeah, the Cena stuff, I mentioned the crowd there. They did come alive for, the big moments. They came alive for Cena. Those Cena chants were gigantic. They were very loud for that moment. But again, that just reminded me of an AEW I don't want. Like, again, what was going on, Toronto? Like, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, with an AEW crowd be going crazy for John Cena and chanting his name louder than they chanted to anything else on the show. Again, just don't need it in AEW, and that's what Cope brings at this stage in his career. And if you like it, great for you. But yeah, it's the worst of AEW for me, and it got this card up to a really rough start. And the first hour in general is where this card struggled, and that was a big part of it. Even if we came good, near the end, like I was gonna say, as far as recommended matches go, there were great matches on here. You do have to dig a little bit with these long cards, but how can I not praise Hangman versus Fletcher? I'm gonna go through some star ratings on that, but for me on Grapple, that's a close to 5-star match, if not 5 stars. Moxley and Darby Allin was every bit as good as I was hoping it was going to be. Like, the violence, I kind of wanted to see Darby win rather than do the angle later on the show with him, but who cares, when the performances are that good. Bit odd seeing Pac, but they were just both fantastic. So that was great. MJF Mark Briscoe was great. Okada, Dorada, Takeshita, fantastic as well. Against the run of play as well. I didn't feel like it was going to be great with Okada kind of running at his half speed in the first half, but felt like the other two dragged him up, especially Mascara Dorada, who's somebody I'd like to see more of on the AEW shows. And it had great moments like Chris Statlander's win, which comes against the run of a play of booking, and it had, big moments like the Jack Perry and Luchasaurus stuff that we're going to be getting into on Spotlight as well. So plenty to love about this show, but yeah, I think most people coming out of it, they've got mixed feelings on it, and a lot of that is the lesser stuff I mentioned there. But do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Overall, thumbs up show, and I'd like to say me and Grapple Gareth and the fashion only Gareth can will be going through the match by match on Spotlight tomorrow. If you fancy something a bit longer form, but yeah, check that out. Check out Matty's reaction video to WrestlePalooza, and we'll also have a WrestlePalooza Spotlight coming up as well, where me and Matty break that down and whatever the happenings are on Raw on Monday night as well. But yeah, go forth, give this video a like if you can, give us a comment, it helps us support, do more videos like this, keep an eye out for more stuff on the channel. Like I say, we will catch you on the next one. Good night all.